Alright everyone, hello. Uh, this is Daniel and I am going to be playing some Boltfolk in Modern. Um, so I'm going to go through this deck and talk about some of my choices and why I made them. So let's start with the deck overall. Why would you want to play this deck at all? What does it do better than regular Merfolk? Um, and I would say it obviously gives the deck more reach. Um, when you play traditional Merfolk, you have zero reach, and you have to get in the red zone. You have to be attacking with creatures to win. Period. And Lightning Bolt and Wizard's Lightning gives you an out in the late game. It's surprising how often it comes up where it's just if I rip a Wizard's Lightning or a Lightning Bolt and cast it on the last couple turns, then I just win. Um, so it's really good in that sense. Obviously, they're great as removal spells. I think that's what you're going to be using it for 80% of the time. It's just it kills small creatures. It's really good against any 3 toughness creatures. It it's efficient removal, and it does a lot in helping the deck that way. So I'm going to talk about individual card choices as well. 20 lands. I think you can run with 19 lands, but I prefer 20. I think 19's cutting it close, and I think 18's right out. I think you're hoping that to get lucky with some of your draws when you're sitting on 18 lands. I guess it depends. Right now I'm running 4 Master of Waves, which I'll get to in a bit, but if I'm running 4 Master of Waves, I'm no doubt not cutting any lands. I'm just keeping it at 20. So I've got 12 red sources here with 6 fetch lands, 4 Spire Bluff Canals, and 2 Steam Vents. It seems fine. I think you have 8 red spells, so you're gonna have to have about 11 or 12 red sources in order to cast those consistently. 3 Mutavault. I had the 4th Mutavault in over like an island, but and I think you can run a 4th Mutavault instead of an island. So, but Mutavault's great. It's an amazing card, and it can just win you games by dodging sorcery speed removal. But I just don't want to get color screwed, so I went ahead and cut the 3rd one. I cut the 4th one. I haven't missed it yet, but I suppose we'll see. I've got 2 Mistcaller. These were Curse Catchers. Mistcaller and Curse Catchers are both wizards, so they both turn on Wizard's Lightning. And I think right now Mistcaller's a little bit more suited in the metagame than Curse Catcher. So I'm running it. I think honestly, because its ability is so niche, but some decks it just absolutely kind of hoses, and they have to play around it. I think if I was looking for a catch-all, I'd want to go like if Curse Catcher was right out and it was bad in the metagame, I'd probably want to play something like Triton Shorestalker, something just the 1/1 unblockable. But it's not a wizard, and I want to keep my wizard count high, especially the 1-drop wizard is pretty big for Wizard's Lightning for early game, so I'm going with Mistcaller. We'll see. I think that's the consensus right now, so that's what I'm going with there. For Ether Vials, I'll come back to Ether Vial at the end, because there's something with deck building in Ether Vial when you're playing Boltfolk, which is a little bit troubling. But so for my creatures, it's Mistcaller, and I got 2 Phantasmal Image. Of course, the 12 that can never be cut: 4 Silvergill Adept, 4 Lord of Atlantis, 4 Master of the Pearl Trident. These are, you cannot shave. If you're playing Merfolk, you cannot shave those 12 cards at the very least. I've got 4 Merfolk Trickster. I think Merfolk Trickster is almost becoming a must-have as well. an incredible card. The flash is amazing. There are so many times that the ability to tap a creature is relevant, and there's a lot of times that losing abilities is relevant. And it's an amazing card. Now that I've played with it, I'm absolutely sold on the 4 of. It'll give you the most blowouts, and it'll give you the most judge calls if you're playing it in paper. This thing can be a rules nightmare sometimes. So I'm playing the 4 Master of Waves as well. So when I first started playing this, I was running 4 Mare Reedry, trying to keep my curve really low. It was also because I didn't have Ether Vials at the time, and I only had a couple. But I think if anybody is a Merfolk player, they know that Master of Waves will just win games out of nowhere. Like, Master of Waves can just take a normal average board state and make it spectacular out of nowhere, and then make it to where the opponent has 1 turn to find some kind of removal. Now, I started playing Merfolk way back in like 2015 or something like that. I think I top 8 at PPTQ in like July of 2015, so that's right around when I was first starting. And back then, Master Waves was like nearly untouchable. So that was back when like Jund was the deck to beat, and Jund just could not touch it. Like, protection from red was amazing. They couldn't terminate it. They couldn't lightning bolt it. They couldn't abrupt decay it because it has 4 converted mana cost. They couldn't Inquisition it out of your hand. Fatal Push wasn't around, and I think they only had Maelstrom Pulse to really deal with it. So back then, Master of Waves was almost like he had hexproof at the time. Like, the only thing that could really touch it was Path to Exile, and that has changed a lot. I think Master of Waves stock just keeps going down as more and more sets come out. The big one was Fatal Push, so that gave green-black X decks a way to consistently interact with him and just kill him. Liliana the Last Hope is one that just kills him right out, whereas Liliana the Veil, like, their sacrifice effect was, it didn't really matter if you had 5 wave tokens, you just sacrifice a wave token. Collective Brutality was a big one that just kills him right out. And now we've got the printing of Assassin's Trophy, so it continues more and more that people are just having ways to interact with Master of Waves, whereas they didn't back in the day. Still an amazing card, no doubt about it. Like, again, it will just steal you games out of nowhere. So I am going to be trying Master of Waves out. He is a wizard, so when we're talking about like Wizard's Lightning and cards that turn it on, in the deck, obviously we have a lot of these Merfolk are wizards. So we've got Mistcaller, we've got Silvergill Adept, we've got Merfolk Trickster. I would say Phantasmal Image can definitely be one. And then we have Master Waves, and then we have Mutavault. So with that, that gives us 14 wizards alongside Mutavault, and then also Tidebinder Mage out of the sideboard. At least 14, then Phantasmal Image can become one, but you've got to already have a wizard on the field. So Wizard's Lightning is just Bolt. It's bad Bolt, but it's very good. So let's go back to Ether Vial. So when you are playing 8 bolts, and you're also playing 4 Spreading Seas, which is another card I didn't talk about, but it is, in my opinion, uncuttable. Like, you have to run 4 Spreading Seas if you're running a Merfolk deck. That leaves 12 non-creature, non-lands that you have to put in your deck just to start, alongside 4 Ether Vial, so that's 16, and then 20 lands. So at that point, you're looking at 36 non-land permanents at minimum to put into the deck. So that leaves only 24 creature spots. 24 is a little low on um, Ether Vial creature count. It's starting to make Ether Vial look a little odd. So this is the thing that's left me scratching my head and how the hell to build this um, for quite some time. So I still haven't come up with like what I would keep as a shell or what the standard should be. So I know that I think Nikachu just posted he posted a couple lists with 26 creatures. So 26 is on the low end as well. He was also running 4 peaks, so in that sense, it's like a cantrip. It's almost like I would call it. I would almost go as far as to call it like 27 creatures because peak can cantrip you into a creature. Um, but 24 is pretty damn low, and so I'm not sure if that's the right number. Um, I keep wondering what I can do about it. My first thought was to keep the curve really low, go down to 19 lands, no Master of Waves, just keep like Phantasmal Images in the main deck, maybe like some Harbinger of the Tides, keep the creatures converted mana cost like at maximum at 2 or maybe 3 with Mara Regery, and just try to go lower. And then that puts you at 25 creatures, and then maybe if you're sitting at most of your creatures at 2 mana, you can shave an Ether Vial or 2. That doesn't sound right. I don't know. Ether Vial is an incredibly powerful card. Oops. But yeah, I don't know. Right now the deck's running 24 creatures and 4 Ether Vial. So I guess we'll see how many times we have Ether Vials, like, but not the capacity to use them. And I don't know. That's the one that makes this deck a little bit awkward, is the fact that the creature count can get pretty low. So now for the sideboard, we've got Tidebinder Mage, amazing card. I don't leave the house without at least 2 Tidebinder Mage. I just feel like in the games where they're good, they're usually just great. 3 Spell Pierce, pretty self-explanatory. I've been playing a Braid. A Braid is very good. I mean, it acts as Lightning Bolt 9 and 10 that also destroys artifacts. I can't complain there. The sideboard's pretty standard here, just Tectonic Edges, Relic of Progenitus, and Damping Sphere. I haven't really tried or experimented with many red cards, only a Braid. I mean, obviously, the big one is if you are playing red, then people want to jam Blood Moons in the sideboard, and I think it's fine, but I just haven't found the need for it. And I also feel like Blood Moon is not really well positioned right now. It's not an incredible card. There's sometimes in the metagame where it's just amazing, and right now I think it's just middling. And also it turns off your Mutavaults, so I'm not very big on it. Let's see some other things that I want to touch on. Spire Bluff Canal and Master Waves are super awkward sometimes, because it's gonna happen where you need your 4th land to jam your Master Waves, and then you draw a Spire Bluff Canal, and you essentially just have to wait a turn and do nothing, and that is super awkward. So I again don't like Spire Bluff Canal and Master Waves in the same deck, but we're gonna try it out. I just feel very awkward with Master of Waves. It's the more, because I took a break with playing Merfolk. I was playing Storm for a while, and I've just recently picked it up this month after not playing it for like almost a year and a half. And Master of Waves stock just keeps going down. Walking Ballista is just a big mess when it comes to Master of Waves too. So I don't know. I'm not sold on Master Waves, but I'm gonna try him, and maybe in this league, he'll sell me. And I have 13 cards in the sideboard. I didn't realize that, so I need 2 more cards here. I forget what I normally put in. I guess I will figure that out, and I'll put it in the next video. Anyway, thank you.